Greetings, Internet Faithful. I am some guy named Rob from Undermarks Wrestling, and this is my hot take on 205 Live for Tuesday, May 29th, 2018. Okay, actually, this is going to be more than just your regular hot take, because let's face it, if you want a really hot, like a hot take on 205 Live, it can be summarized in under 2 minutes. Good tag match between gentleman Jack Gallagher and Brian Kendrick versus Lucha House Party. Drew Gulak getting involved, certainly interesting. Interesting to see where this is going to go with the 3 men versus 3 men. So, I'm expecting some 6-man tag action in the next couple of weeks. And some very good 6-man tag action, to be quite honest. We've got some great promos, including some great recap packages of what happened between Itami and Tozawa, as well as all of the events leading up to our main event, which is Buddy Murphy versus the champion Cedric Alexander for the Cruiserweight Championship, and the match itself was incredible. I thought it was one of the more entertaining matches of the week so far. Your mileage may vary, but considering how bad Raw was and how milquetoast SmackDown was, it was nice to see a good long match between two guys who could really go. Now, that would be a hot take, but there's a thing with 205 Live that I kind of wanted to talk about, and I've wanted to touch on this for a little while. It's kind of their greatest asset as well as their biggest liability right now in terms of the WWE. Because you have NXT, which is kind of your feeder program. They are the program that takes the new stars into the company, grooms them in the WWE style, and puts them on the main roster. Whether that main roster is Raw, SmackDown, or 205 Live. Yes, 205 Live I will consider main roster, because people from NXT do graduate to 205 Live, depending on how the booking and the weight categories go. However, 205 Live is in something of an odd position because they put on some really great matches, but they're never really featured on anything important. You got one Cruiserweight match at WrestleMania, which was to crown a Cruiserweight champion, and that was put during the kickoff show. It was put on the pre-show. It wasn't part of the main WrestleMania program. This is something that's been ongoing for quite some time. And quite honestly, I find that baffling. Especially in light of how good these Cruiserweights are, and how much they can actually hang with and cross over with the heavyweights on the main roster. So just as an example, we'll go back to NXT and we'll go to NXT New Orleans TakeOver. Adam Cole winning the North American Championship for NXT. Well, Adam Cole would be a Cruiserweight. He fits in the Cruiserweight division right now at his size. In fact, I think everybody in the Undisputed Era would qualify as a Cruiserweight right now. And yet, you could not tell me and convince me that right now you could not take the Undisputed Era and put them in the middle of Monday Night Raw, or put them right in the mix on SmackDown as a faction, and you couldn't convince me that they wouldn't belong there. And also, some of your better wrestlers right now who are on the main roster are not that far removed from the 205 Live weight limit. I mean, 3 of them that come easily to mind: Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Daniel Bryan. Those 3 guys, 3 of your best wrestlers on the main roster, are only a few pounds over the 205 weight limit. It doesn't really seem to make a whole lot of sense to not include some Cruiserweights in your main roster, at least on your main roster pay-per-views. On the main show. Yes, you can have one match on your pre-show to use as a teaser to get people to subscribe to the network, obviously, because, hey, what better way to get people to subscribe to the WWE Network, knowing that they'll get an hour of Cruiserweight programming, dedicated Cruiserweight programming each and every week, than to put them, give them a little taste for free and then make them pay for the rest. But if you want them to pay for the rest, you also have to realize that they're going to need a little bit more on the main show as well, because otherwise the fans are going to know, well, okay, you're giving me the Cruiserweights for free, you're never featuring them on the main show, what's the point? I'll just take my little free samples here and there, and I'll just call it a day. So, this brings me back to this week's 205 Live, because I feel that, especially with the way Money in the Bank is shaping up for this year, it's not going to be another Backlash. I don't think the WWE is... Even the WWE, it would be a stretch for them to put 2 pay-per-views of that low a quality together back-to-back. I'm not holding my breath for Extreme Rules, but I would be very surprised with 2 ladder matches and all of the... those 2 ladder matches are going to be really good. So I would be very surprised to see it be as bad as Backlash. You're also going to have, probably, by the looks of things, an intercontinental match between Seth Rollins and Elias, and I'm okay with that. Actually, no, is Elias in the ladder match? I guess I should really take notes before I do these things. Doing these live and off the cuff where I have absolutely no ability to look things up is a little bit of a double-edged sword. But anyway, to make a short story long, other than, outside the 2 ladder matches, you might have one decent match. There's going to be a lot of lower tier matches. I don't think there's going to be too many people who think that the Bludgeon Brothers versus the Good Brothers is going to be an especially competitive match, that it's going to be a barn burner of a match, an all-time classic. It's, maybe it'll set up for something that'll culminate at SummerSlam, but I'm not seeing it right now. On the other hand, you have an entire roster of people that you can draw from to make Money in the Bank that much better. You could, on the pre-show, have a Cruiserweight Money in the Bank match. This is entirely possible. There is no reason why you cannot have a Cruiserweight ladder match for a 205 Live title shot. In fact, I think... I'm surprised it hasn't been thought of yet. The only reason why I could possibly see it being a little bit of a pause for WWE officials is because if you're going to get that much high-flying, high-octane, fast-paced action, and then you got to go to the main roster and watch Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey try to have a good match in spite of the fact that their build is completely ludicrous. I can see where you take pause with something like that, or try and have Asuka make Carmella look even reasonably credible as a women's champion. Yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow. That's one of those things, because if you do the ladder match at Money in the Bank, what you could have done is you could have taken the match from last night's 205 Live between Cedric Alexander and Buddy Murphy, and you could have put that right smack in the middle of the Money in the Bank card as a Cruiserweight title match, and it would be one of the better matches of the night. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go on record right now and say, once Money in the Bank is in the can, or in the bank if you want to say it that way. I avoided the pun, but I don't expect all of you to do so as well. I'm going to say, once the dust is settled on Money in the Bank, go back, watch the Cruiserweight match between Buddy Murphy and Cedric Alexander, and I want you to take that Cruiserweight title match and I want you to rank it against the matches on the Money in the Bank card. I am going to come right out and say it will be one of the top 3 matches of the night. I'm going to say it. Maybe I'm wrong. I kind of hope I am wrong, because for me to be wrong means that the WWE is going to put on an incredibly good show. It means that they are going to provide a very entertaining pay-per-view with a lot of quality matches on it, to the point where a match like the Cedric Alexander-Buddy Murphy match from last night on 205 Live does not even crack the top 3. So I hope I'm wrong. I doubt it, but I hope I'm wrong. It would be great if I was wrong. But I'm not holding my breath. So yeah, I mean, it's... You have the ability to draw off of that pool. You have that asset that's there, but the liability is, if you put those cruiserweight talents on a main roster pay-per-view, you're basically exposing just how bad most of your main roster really is in terms of their wrestling ability, their ability to tell a story in the ring, and their ability to put together a solid pay-per-view from top to bottom that entertains. Which is kind of a shame. It almost makes you wonder why they have 205 Live to begin with and just don't integrate these guys into the main roster. I mean, I do get why. It's because Vince McMahon would bury them all, everybody would be Ty Dillinger, and nobody would ever win. It's just a shame that you have all of this talent that is so, and I hate, but this is actually the correct usage of the word, so I'll use it, even though I generally despise of this word, but it's very underutilized. They are not making the most out of their cruiserweight division. They're doing well, don't get me wrong. 205 Live is often, either my top or second favorite show of the week from the WWE. It's usually, flip-flop back and forth. Flip a coin. It's either going to be NXT or 205 Live, which is going to be my favorite show of the week. And the main roster stuff, the stuff that you see on regular cable TV, especially Raw these days, has been pretty rough. It'd be nice to see 205 Live get elevated to the point where they could be on the main show of the pay-per-views, especially the bigger pay-per-views. Or even if you use them to bolster just a regular B or C level pay-per-view. I mean, they should absolutely be on all the A shows. There's no question about that. The A-list shows, your big 4 of the year, they should always be there. But even then, good luck getting them off of the pre-show. Anyway, that's sort of my hot take on just sort of the state of affairs right now. It's kind of a 205 Live hot take, but more of a 205 Live roster hot take, or 205 Live division hot take, rather than just the program from last night. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you think I'm way off base, let me know what you think you would do with the 205 Live crew. If you think they should just kind of keep their own thing, their own show, maybe their own pay-per-view or network event down the road, where they get maybe a 2.5 to 3 hour time slot all to themselves, along the lines of an NXT takeover. I'm not opposed to that, 3 times a year, or even twice a year. Hell, give me one of those twice a year to wash the taste of Backlash out of my mouth. I'm looking for ideas here. I'm looking for a reason to root for the WWE to not get exceptionally lazy in the wake of the fact that they are going to make about $1.5 billion to $2.5 billion off of their new TV deals over the next 5 years. Because quite frankly, when you get that kind of a revenue stream coming in, you don't really give a damn about your product. You don't have to anymore. You're not struggling. You're not up against any kind of competition. There's no tension. There's no stake. There's nothing at stake. So there's nothing that's kind of kicking you in the ass to put out a better product. As sad as WCW was in its dying days, it really was WCW and the Monday Night Wars that made the WWE as good as it was back in the day, and it's been all downhill since the demise of WCW. And I'd like to see them get a little bit of that back. But anyway, until next time, take it easy.